Please come forward.
Ko ahau, ko Oriini Kaipara. E ki ana I runga I te pono, I te tika, I te ngākau tapatahi. Me te whakaū anō, ka noho pirihonga, ka noho pūmau ahau, kia kiingitiare te tuatoru, me tōna kāhui whakaheke. E ai, ki te ture.
Good. The Honourable Louise Upston.
Mr Speaker, today the House will adjourn until Tuesday the 14th of October. that week, the House will make progress on the Education and Training, Vocational Education and Training System Amendment Bill and the Building and Construction Small Standalone Dwellings Amendment Bill. The hours of Tuesday will be extended into Wednesday morning for government business, and on Thursday there will be a 1-hour special debate on local issues.
No petitions have been delivered to the clerk for presentation. Ministers have delivered 11 papers.
2024-25 annual reports of the Accident Compensation Corporation, the Crown Law Office, New Zealand Qualifications Authority, kōrero Group and Pāmu Farms. Accident Compensation Corporation Climate Report for the year ended 30 June 2025 and Service Agreement for 2025-26. Ministry for the Environment and Stats New Zealand, New Zealand's Environmental Reporting Series, Our Marine Environment 2025. Notice of Declarations of Inconsistency. Public Protection Orders under the Public Safety, Public Protection Orders Act 2014 and Extended Supervision Orders under the Parole Act 2002. Report in relation to selected non-departmental appropriations for the Science, Innovation and Technology portfolio within Vote Business, Science and Innovation for the year ended 30 June 2025.
Those papers are published under the authority of the House. 2 select committee reports have been delivered for presentation.
Reports of the Social Services and Community Committee on the report of the Ombudsman, OIA timeliness obligations, compliance and practice in Kāinga Order Housing New Zealand. Review briefing on the 2023-24 annual review of the Social Workers Registration Board.
Those reports are set down for consideration. No bills have been introduced. The House comes to oral question, the first in the name of Dan Bedwell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Economic Growth and asks, what recent announcements has she made?
The Honourable Nicola Willis.
Mr. Speaker, this morning I announced new government procurement rules that take effect on the 1st of December. These are the rules that government agencies apply when assessing bids to supply them with goods and services, including everything from paper towels to roads. All told, government contracts are worth more than $50 billion a year. That is a huge amount. But Kiwi businesses have been telling government for years, over successive governments, that they've been missing out because the rules are not fit for purpose. Today, the government has fixed it.
Supplementary. What is the key change being made to the government procurement rules?
Mr. Speaker, the key change is an economic benefit test that levels the playing field for New Zealand businesses. When considering tender applications, government agencies will now be required to give a weighting of at least 10% to benefits to New Zealand. This means New Zealand companies won't miss out on contracts to overseas competitors because of small differences in price. This provision does not breach international trade agreements because overseas companies have the same opportunity to demonstrate wider value to New Zealand. And similar provisions exist in many of our trading partners' procurement rules. This government recognises that there is benefit to New Zealand in companies employing New Zealanders, training New Zealanders and investing in New Zealand, and we are putting taxpayer dollars to that purpose.
Supplementary. What other changes are being made to the rules?
Mr. Speaker, businesses, particularly small and medium-sized businesses, have been telling government that the paperwork involved in bidding for contracts is too onerous. So we are getting rid of requirements that are redundant or unnecessary, that duplicate content, that repeat statutory and regulatory requirements, or that have never been applied in practice. As a result, the number of rules is being reduced from 71 to 47, far, far simpler.
Supplementary. What has been the reaction to the new rules?
Well, Mr. Speaker, if the response to this morning's announcement at Business New Zealand is any guide, unadulterated delight. In the words of Business New Zealand Chief Executive Catherine Rich, the new rules are transformational, sensible and fair, and will be celebrated by businesses from one end of the country to the other. That is fantastic, and I'd like to pay tribute to Catherine and her team at Business New Zealand. Business New Zealand has been campaigning for this sensible change for 10 years, and I'm glad our government got it done.
Question 2, Tāku Te Wheres.
Tēnā koe te pika, taku pātai. Ki te minita whakawhanake take Māori, to tama pōtaka. Does he agree with the Waitangi Tribunal's official position on the proposed name change that we do not support changing the name from the Waitangi Tribunal to a commission, in case it leads to confusion concerning the bespoke jurisdiction we exercise.
The Honourable Tama Potaka.
E te maunga o te whare. The Waitangi Tribunal carries over 50 years of jurisprudence, symbolism and mana. I am not aware of any proposed name change as the Minister responsible for the Treaty of Waitangi Act 1975, but I am aware of last night's excellent 50-year anniversary function at the Legislative Council chamber, attended by the member in question and other members of this glorious House. Hari, huri tau, rima te kau, ki te rōpū whakamane te tiriti o Waitangi.
Pātai tāpiri, can he confirm that the proposed name change would erode the independence of the tribunal, creating a system where ministers decide what claims can be heard?
E te māngai o te whare, te mō i o au, ki te ia o te pātai o tēnei mema. I am not aware of any proposed name change for the Waitangi Tribunal.
Pātai tāpiri, is he concerned by Crown Law's own assessment that altering the powers of the tribunal could breach the principle of separation of powers and the principle of responsible government?
E te māngai o te whare, government continues to be responsible in this space and is progressing the review announced in a very timely manner.
Pātai, will he rule out changing the name of the Waitangi Tribunal?
E te māngai o te whare, that is a matter that I've only just become aware of as a result of the question posed to me by the member.
Question number 3, the Honourable Barbara Emmons. Oh, supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Has the Minister looked at the Tribunal's statement about their concern regarding a, quote, bespoke jurisdiction? And having regard to the word bespoke, who's the tailor here? Who's the customer here? Who's this being made for? Parliament or some other body?
E te māngai o te whare, my responsibilities in this space are focusing on clarifying these matters, not confusing these matters any further.
The Honourable Barbara Emmons, question 3.
Vinaka Vakalevu, Mr Speaker. To the Minister of Finance, is an annual growth rate of negative 1.1%, 3 percentage points lower than forecast before the election, the result of her economic plan? If not, why not?
Mr Speaker, as I said yesterday and the day before, no. And let me point something out for members. The IMF's latest World Economic Outlook shows that in 2023, out of all the world's advanced economies, New Zealand had the largest positive output gap. In other words, it had the most overheated economy in the world. Inflation was far above the target band, and the Reserve Bank had to raise the OCR to 5.5%, the highest rate since 2008. And that's why the economy went into a long, painful downturn. It is now recovering, but as often happens in a recovery, the road has been rocky. The member might think that spending more, taxing more and borrowing more is an alternative plan, but I disagree with it, and so do most New Zealanders.
Supplementary. So therefore, is she borrowing more or less?
Well, Mr Speaker, I'm pleased to report to the House that today's financial statements of government shows that debt for the first time in 5 years has not increased as a proportion of GDP.
Supplementary. What does she say to one business leader who said, quote, "What has she done to create growth in New Zealand? I can't think of a single thing other than the supermarket's banking publicity, which so far has not achieved anything," unquote.
Mr. Speaker, let me count the ways. Tax relief for more than 1 million working New Zealanders. Investment boost to encourage investment in our businesses so that they can grow. Delivering fast-track infrastructure projects. Investing in structured literacy in our schools. Overhauling the Overseas Investment Act to welcome capital into this country. And Mr. Speaker, to finish a theme for the week, here's the quote I preferred from a chief executive in that publication. Labor, not as coordinated on communications as they need to be, especially between Chris and Barbara.
King hit. Supplementary. Does she agree with Christopher Luxon that, quote, Nicola Willis and myself understand economics, we understand budgets, we understand numbers, unquote. If so, is that why under even her own measure of OBGAL-X, the deficit is higher now than it was in 2021, 2022, 2023 and 2024?
Mr. Speaker, let's keep it simple. I agree with the Prime Minister.
Today. Supplementary
question, the Honourable David Seymour.
How much of that deficit is interest repayments on debt that was built up by the previous government?
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's approximately $8 billion we are paying to service the interest on our debt. And I would also point out, Mr. Speaker, that those who are suddenly concerned about deficits might want to ask why they said that every time we made a spending reduction, whether it was pay equity, reducing the number of bureaucrats, reversing stupid programs, that we shouldn't be cutting spending. Get consistent.
Supplementary. If she understands numbers then, does she understand that the government reduction in capital asset spending of $2.9 billion less has played a role in the decline of the construction sector and a loss of 20,000 construction sector jobs?
Well, Mr. Speaker, in each of our budgets we have invested more funding in public infrastructure, and I can't wait till we sign those contracts for the Northern Gateway Road, for the many roads of national significance around the country. I'm proud that unlike the last government, we're actually funding Dunedin Hospital, that we're rebuilding Nelson Hospital, that we're building more classrooms every year than they ever managed, and that we built more social homes in the past 23 months than they did in 3 years.
Supplementary. Is her idea of an economic plan is to deliver more unemployment, a shrinking economy, an inflation that is on the rise, and to blame everyone else except Nicola Willis?
No, Mr. Speaker, it is not. But I think that those who commit arson and then blame the firefighter should not repeat the same mistake. And all I've heard from that member is let's borrow more, let's spend more, let's drive up the debt and inflation, and that is no prescription.
Question number 4, Remo Nakli.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Tourism and Hospitality and asks, what recent announcements has she made to support major events and tourism in New Zealand?
Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Louise Upson.
Mr. Speaker, last week we served up a major win for sports fans and tourism alike. We announced a $5 million investment in a new centre court roof for Auckland's Manuka Doctor Arena. This is the first infrastructure project from our $70 million major events and tourism package. This upgrade is a grand slam for New Zealand's events sector. It means rain delays will be out and world-class tennis will be in no matter the weather. Tourism and major events are a crucial part of our government's focus on economic growth. More world-class events means more visitors, more jobs, and a growing economy.
Supplementary. Why is this investment needed?
Mr. Speaker, this investment will help New Zealand stay match fit on the international stage. If we want to continue to attract world-class events to New Zealand, we need to have world-class facilities to go along with it. This investment not only future-proofs Centre Court against the weather, but also expands the types of events that can be held there, attracting more visitors and supporting our economy. The arena is also an important asset for the Auckland community, promoting the growth and development of tennis for players of all ages.
Supplementary. How will this investment benefit tourism in Auckland and beyond?
Mr. Speaker, this investment is a game changer. The ASB Classic alone attracts thousands of visitors each year, and next year it will be their 70th year of this event. In 2024, just this one event alone brought significant economic benefit to Auckland, resulting in 16,600 visitor nights to the region and injecting $3.4 million into the economy. With a covered centre court, we'll be able to serve up more events year-round and welcome even more fans, players and international media. More visitors means more bookings, more meals and more spending in local shops and hotels.
Supplementary. What feedback has she received on this announcement?
Mr. Speaker, I promise this is the last one. We have had a volley of positive feedback. Tennis Auckland CEO Rowan West has said it's absolutely massive. I can't underplay the significance of it, saying it gives the organisation confidence to move ahead with the project. The Auckland Business Chamber has said the announcement is really welcome news for Auckland. Ongoing measures like this make our biggest city a better place to live in, work in, and more competitive with our Aussie cousins cities. Mr. Speaker, this announcement is already proving, to be a winning shot, which means New Zealand's tennis future is game, set and match.
Question 5, the Honourable Jenny Anderson.
Oh, tēnā
Sorry,
koe.
just wait while one or two people up the back there calm themselves down. The Honourable Jenny Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Economic Growth. Is her economic plan responsible for high unemployment and more business failures? If not, why not?
The Honourable Nicola Willis.
Mr. Speaker, no. Is it just me or have I answered this question half a dozen times already? Higher unemployment is a result of an economic downturn driven by high interest rates. High interest rates needed to bring down inflation fuelled by reckless and undisciplined government spending. That may be the member's economic plan. It is not mine, thank goodness.
Why then are there 36,000 people who are not in work and liquidations are up 26%?
Well, Mr. Speaker, these are the terrible human consequences of a downturning economy, which results when it is mismanaged as poorly as it was by the last government. It is also the case, though, I would point out to members, that the number of unemployed New Zealanders at this point, it still remains lower than Grant Robertson was forecasting it would be at this point.
Why does she continue to refer to the pre-election forecasts for unemployment, but not the GDP forecasts, which are 3 percentage points higher than what she has delivered?
Because as the Treasury has previously acknowledged extensively on the record, they vastly overestimated their growth assumptions in the pre-election fiscal update, which may have been convenient for the Minister at the time, but was inaccurate nonetheless.
Mr. Speaker,
Christian.
how can she justify her plan when it has led to rising power and rent costs and a failing construction industry that has forced Auckland-based business Pipe Vision to go under and to cut 100 jobs?
Well, Mr. Speaker, if that member's version of economics is that every government should take responsibility for every firm that ever fails, then I invite her to have a chat with Barbara Edmonds. But I would also point out that the assertion that rents have gone up under our government is not correct. In fact, what we have seen is downward pressure on rents since being elected after a period of extreme rent rises under the previous government.
The Kushta Tangariri Mayo.
Tēnā koe. Has Ikaroa Rāwhiti been left out of her plan when the Hawke's Bay lost 837 jobs in just one quarter and EIT Tai Rāwhiti lost 40 academic and support roles who were there to help young people into work?
Shame.
Well, no, Mr Speaker, how could they possibly be left out when they are represented by Dana Kirkpatrick and Katie Nimmin, two of the extraordinary members of Parliament in the National Party caucus?
Rachel Boyack.
Is her economic plan responsible for the more than 300 workers from Carter Holt Harvey, Sealord and Proper Crisps in Nelson, Tasman who are losing their jobs?
Stop. Who is calling out during a question? You don't do that. I never wag my finger like that. It's something that is particular to you. Rachel Boyack.
Supplementary. Is her economic plan responsible for the more than 300 workers from Carter Holt Harvey, Sealord and Proper Crisps in Nelson, Tasman who are losing their jobs, or should they not take it personally?
No, what our economic plan is directly responsible for is more than $500 million having been committed to rebuilding Nelson Hospital and the fast-tracking of a major housing development that on her watch would have been tied up in red tape for years. We'll take responsibility, and I think you will find that the people of Nelson would like it if you just welcome the investment in their hospital.
No, I think if we're going to have that sort of outburst, we'll just move on to the next question. It's largely in opposition's hands, but you cannot ask a question and then engage in a barrage like that and expect that you're going to be given other opportunities to do the same.
Supplementary.
Jan Tinetti.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. In what way is 2 plants closing and 249 jobs being lost in Tōkoroa a sign that her plan is working?
Well, Mr Speaker, as I pointed out to her colleague Ginny Anderson in the previous answer, a number of factors contribute to firms no longer being profitable. One of those factors is very high interest rates, which is why our government has worked so hard to take pressure off on inflation and ensure the Reserve Bank has had space to reduce those interest rates.
I've repeatedly now, over a number of days, expressed the view that the sort of ongoing chips are not reasonable, nor are they witty, nor do they add anything to the debate, and members should refrain from doing it. And there's one particular member who I know is now diligently looking at a piece of paper who would do well to take that on board. The Honourable Ginny Anderson.
Supplementary. Has she considered asking for help with her numeracy, considering that she considers negative growth to be a sign of recovery?
No, Mr Speaker, as my mother once said to me, if you can't say anything nice, which I can't right now, don't say anything at all.
Question number 6, Grant McCallum.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Conservation and asks, what recent reports has the Minister seen on the Hauraki Gulf?
The Honourable Tāmaki Makaurau.
On Tuesday, with the backing of all the parties that were present that day in this fine Parliament, the tautoko in support of iwi around Tikapa Moana and thousands of New Zealanders, we passed this bill that will triple marine protection in the Hauraki Gulf. Various groups have welcomed and celebrated this step. The Environmental Defence Society, of course, calling it a landmark achievement for conservation. Forest and Birds saying it's a significant victory for the Hauraki Gulf, and Seafood New Zealand welcoming the bill as a balanced approach for marine protection. I look forward to seeing the recovery of this iconic, majestic and epic place moving forward.
Supplementary. What benefits will the new protections have for marine conservation and ecosystems?
It's Māngo Te Whare. This bill introduces 19 new expanded marine protection areas and is the largest increase in marine protection in Aotearoa New Zealand in over a decade. The amount of area that is to be protected here is twice the size of Singapore. We hope to see snapper density increase. spiny rock lobster increase. I just want to acknowledge Minister Jones and his protection for that. The recovery of ecologically important species such as corals, cockles, anemones and mussels. And of course the reduction in kinnibarrons. Also protected will be some of the smaller and less well-known species such as the colourful and flamboyant nudibranchs, Mr Speaker, which have helped inspire some of the outfits of the hard-working people in my office this week. Effective marine protection, we know, helps restore the health and modi of seascapes.
Well done. Supplementary. How will this support jobs and greater economic growth in the region?
E te maunga o te whare. A 2023 NZIER report stated that the economic value of the Hauraki Gulf is over $100 billion and produces over $5 billion of value each and every year to this country. There's a lot more potential for economic activity in the Gulf because it can generate tourism opportunities such as diving, snorkeling and watching mammals, marine mammals and porpoises. We know that healthy marine environments can boost tourism by looking at the Goat Island Te Hāwere Maki Marine Reserve celebrating its 50th anniversary this week, which accommodates and hosts over 350,000 visitors per annum. The economy and the environment go together.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, the Honourable Priyanka Radhakrishnan.
Thank you. Why did he allow 11th hour lobbying to influence changes that now enable commercial fishing in high protection areas when reports show that it will further damage the health of the Gulf?
E te maunga o te whare. As you all know, as members of this House, my suit selection is sometimes a compromise, as is moving legislation through this House. But isn't it ironic that the very member who asked that question today, also along with her party, voted for it yesterday?
Grant McCallum.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Just a minute, Mr McCallum. All right.
Looking ahead, how can we leverage the partnerships that have been formed to capture more opportunities?
Te mai o te whare. This bill presents a fantastic opportunity for co-investment into the Hauraki Gulf, and getting to this point of having the bill passed as a result of over a decade of collaboration, can I mention Sir Rob Fenwick and Nikki Kay in this light? It signals what is possible when we work together. Ka wanatanga, iwi industry, various groups like Live Ocean, to produce outcomes for all New Zealanders, especially Aucklanders. This is just the beginning. Nicola Rata McDonald, the co-chair of the Hauraki Gulf Forum and CEO of Ngāti Manuhiri Settlement Trust, said it has taken an army of united voices to protect this taonga, and I congratulate everyone on their involvement and look forward to our next steps.
Lan Farm.
What is his message to the 32,000 Kiwis who signed WWF's petition urging his government to remove the carve-out that allows commercial fishing in the Gulf's high protection areas due to the risk that it sets a dangerous precedent where industry lobbyists could weaken future marine protections?
Te maunga o te whare. My message is this. To the 32,000 people and the 5.5 million New Zealanders and Kiwis that voted in their elected officials to this glorious institution of Parliament, all parties present in Parliament on Tuesday voted in favour of the very comments and the very provisions that the member asked for.
The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Can I ask the Minister as to where are the customers for those limited commercial fishing operations? Are they New Zealand customers or overseas customers?
E te maunga o te whare. I am advised that the customers for those particular ringnet fishing operators are New Zealand and particularly Auckland customers.
Question number 7, Ricardo Mendes-March.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Social Development. Does she stand by the government's decision to apply tightened eligibility criteria to 18 and 19-year-olds accessing job seeker support, health condition or disability? If so, why?
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Louise Upston.
Mr. Speaker, yes, job seeker support, health condition or disability is a temporary support for people who are limited in their ability to work for 2 years because of a health condition, injury or disability. It's designed to support them while they recover and prepare to re-enter the workforce. Those with permanent or severe conditions are supported through the supported living payment, which recognises long-term incapacity. Our government has high aspirations for young New Zealanders, and we make no apologies for encouraging them into education, further training or employment instead of welfare. This approach helps young people to build independence rather than be reliant on welfare.
Does she agree with the Disabled People's Assembly, who told One News last night that disabled people face barriers to access the supported living payment due to a lack of access to diagnoses? And if so, does she accept there are several people with long-term conditions who are on the job seeker support with health and disabilities?
Mr. Speaker, what I can say is that we have aspirations for all young New Zealanders, and it was fantastic just last week to meet with an organisation employing young disabled people, and I saw how important and how critical it is for them to be in employment and the massive difference it makes in terms of their lives.
Is it fair to subject 18 and 19-year-olds who are receiving job seeker support, health condition or disability to the new parental assistant test when they are suffering from severe ill mental health, recovering from a car accident, undergoing cancer treatment, as reported by One News?
Mr. Speaker, let me be clear that the job seeker health condition and disability is, as I said in my primary answer, for temporary conditions. We have other systems like ACC to support people who have had severe accidents, and the supported living payment for those with permanent incapacity. What I won't make any apology for in this House is our government's ambition and expectation for 18 and 19-year-olds to have a great life and not be stuck on welfare for another 18 years of their life.
Why restrict access to income support for people who cannot work, temporarily or otherwise?
Because, Mr. Speaker, we want to see them engaged in education, engaged in training and preparing for work. And if they can't, then to be supported by their parents. It's a very simple policy. We've got high expectations and we want young people to do well and not be trapped for a lifetime on welfare.
Many of the people on that benefit that she's now restricting access to are also not able to go into education due to those very same health conditions or disabilities.
Speaker, that's exactly why there are programs to support them. We don't think that it is acceptable in a country like ours to leave a whole generation of New Zealanders to rot on welfare.
Question number 8. Clean Bennett. Before you start, Mr. Bennett, there is a huge amount of conversation going on that needs to stop. Mr. Bennett.
Kia ora, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Tourism and Hospitality and asks, are recent hospitality industry closures the result of the Going for Growth strategy? If not, why not?
The Honourable Louise Upson.
Mr. Speaker, our Going for Growth strategy is about strengthening our economy and creating the conditions for businesses and Kiwis to succeed. Recent closures in the hospitality sector are primarily driven by economic pressures, including high inflation and high interest rates, which were the legacy of the previous government. That's why our government's relentless focus on economic growth is so important, so that businesses have the confidence to invest, to hire and to grow. Our investments into tourism and hospitality will mean more international visitors, more full tables in our restaurants, more jobs being created across the country and an overall stronger economy.
Does she consider the more than 2,500 hospitality closures and almost 300 liquidations in the past 12 months evidence her government is driving economic growth for the hospitality industry?
Mr. Speaker, I've got great news for that member. In August 2025, there are 135 more businesses in accommodation and food services than the previous month and is trending up. That's great news.
Pātou tāpiri.
Shannon Halbert.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. How can hospitality in Auckland CBD thrive when the Heart of the City survey showed 77% of business owners say that the government does not listen to their needs?
Well, Mr Speaker, I disagree. If you look at another quote from Hospitality New Zealand, you can see that they are incredibly supportive of the government's major tourism and events boost, and they know the enormous difference that that will make.
Greg O'Connor.
What does it say about the state of the economy when popular Wellington venue Fortune Favours is forced to close, saying the cost of living crisis has proven too difficult after business dropped nearly 45% in 2 years?
Member should have listened to the answer I gave in my first question, which was to say exactly that economic challenges from high inflation, high interest rates, which have led to an economic recession, have made it difficult for businesses to operate. The good news, though, is that in the last month we've seen more new businesses open than close.
How can she stand by her economic growth strategy for hospitality when thousands of hospitality businesses are closing and tens of thousands of people are still looking for work?
Well, Mr Speaker, I would invite that member to actually look at the data around the tourism and hospitality sector. Hospitality job advertisements are up 3.8% in July compared to last July. That's great news. It's looking up, there's more jobs, and we're excited about it. I'm surprised that member isn't.
Question number 10. Todd Stevenson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Courts and asks, what outcomes has she seen from this government's focus on delivering faster justice for New Zealanders?
The Honourable Nicole McKee.
Mr Speaker, this government is committed to restoring law and order and improving the timeliness of our courts. That's why I was pleased to see reports from the District Court's civil jurisdiction showing active cases down 20% in the year to July 2025, and the average age of active cases dropping by a remarkable 36% over the same period. This means thousands of New Zealanders are getting their cases resolved months sooner. Justice delayed is justice denied, Mr Speaker, and that's why this government is focused on fixing what matters to deliver fastest justice for New Zealanders.
Supplementary. What timeliness improvements has she seen regarding the Disputes Tribunal?
Mr Speaker, the Disputes Tribunal has had an outstanding year, completing more than 900 extra cases in the year to July 2025 compared to the year before. Even more pleasing is the Tribunal's focus on targeting older cases, which has led to a 21% drop in aged files. Mr Speaker, that's 134 fewer aged cases than in July last year. This means more disputes being resolved quickly and fewer New Zealanders left waiting for decisions.
Supplementary. What progress has been made in the Coroner's Court?
Mr Speaker, I'm pleased to report that the Coroner's Court has reduced its active caseload by 15%, thanks to the introduction of associate coroners, clinical advisors and relief coroners. The number of active cases now sits at levels not seen since 2020. As a result, families are getting closure sooner and cases are moving through the system faster.
Supplementary. What additional work does the government have underway to continue to improve court timeliness?
Mr Speaker, this government has a strong pipeline of reforms to deliver faster justice. We're expanding community magistrates' powers so that they can manage more district court cases and raising the High Court judicial cap to increase capacity. We will ensure remote participation in our courts is fit for purpose. Mr Speaker, I could go on, but instead I'll finish by thanking the judiciary, courts and the Ministry of Justice staff who, like the government, are working hard to fix what matters and improve the timeliness of our courts.
Supplementary, Greg O'Connor.
What additional funding will she seek for the courts, given the Chief Justice's view that our justice system is under considerable stress?
Thank you for that Patsy question to the member across. Budget 2025 contained funding of $18.3 million over 4 years to fund 2 additional High Court judges and associated staff, as well as expand the number of community magistrates by 3 and appointing the Chief Community Magistrate. This extra capacity will help relieve pressure across the justice system and improved timeliness, leading to a reduction in backlogs and the time that people do spend on remand. The Judicature Timeliness Legislation Amendment Bill has been introduced, which will make changes across 3 acts to improve court procedure and increase the number of High Court judges that can be appointed. We are committed to fixing what matters.
Mr. Speaker.
Question number 10, the Honourable Jenny Salesa.
Nisan Bulavinaka, Happy Fijian Language Week. To the Minister for Pacific Peoples, does he believe that the Ministry for Pacific Peoples has a role to play in getting more Pasifika into work or training? If so, how will it address the current unemployment rate for Pasifika peoples, which is double what it was at the end of 2023 when the government came into office?
Bula, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Shaireti.
I am aware of the recent rise in Pacific unemployment, which is concerning. The Ministry for Pacific People, alongside the Ministry of Social Development and the education sector, have a role to play in placing more Pacific peoples into work or training. Mr. Speaker, we are relentlessly focused on growing the economy to support Pacific peoples and all New Zealanders with better job opportunities, higher wages and a brighter future.
Supplementary. Does he regret repeatedly cutting funding to the Ministry for Pacific Peoples, including cutting $22 million out of Tupu Aotearoa Work Ready program at a time when Pasifika unemployment is 12.1%, more than double the national average?
What I regret is the actions the previous government took that put us in this position.
Supplementary. Was the $22 million cut from the Ministry for Pacific Peoples Tupu Aotearoa Work Ready program transferred in its entirety to MSD for targeted Pasifika employment and training programs? If so, what are they?
Mr. Speaker, the transfer of Tupu Aotearoa to the MSD program was to generate efficiencies by collaborating with 2 programs that were effectively producing much of the same. The complete transfer did not occur to MSD.
How can he say that the MSD programs was actually for efficiencies when he previously claimed that it, and I quote, was particularly to look at those who are not in employment, education and training, different to MSD, and that it wasn't limited or capped by the age bracket like MSD, unquote?
Responsibility for MSD, but I do have responsibility for the programs that the Ministry for Pacific Peoples brings to the question of Pacifica employment. That includes the Pacific Business Trust and Pacific Business Village, which placed hundreds of people in the last financial year. The partnership with Pacific Media Network through Te Moana Reo Fund, which again has placed hundreds of jobs, and Pacific Building Affordable Homes and Au Whare, which is stimulating Pacific-led construction and employment, as just a few examples.
Supplementary. When will he accept responsibility and take action to help Pasifika into employment or training when in the last year alone, 6,100 more Pasifika people are now unemployed and 1,900 more Pasifika young people are not in education, employment or training?
I acknowledge the challenge with employment for Pacific people. I've already identified 3 initiatives that the Ministry for Pacific People has responsibility for in collaboration with other ministries, including the Ministry for Social Development. I would highlight Alovaka, which amongst other things developed 14 micro-credentialing courses in the last financial year and more than 6,000 micro-credentials delivered to Pacifica, particularly Pacifica youth.
Question number 11, Dr. Vanessa Winnick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister for Mental Health, what recent announcements has he made on the government's mental health targets?
Mr. Speaker, thank you, Mr. Speaker. One of my top priorities is faster access to mental health support for all New Zealanders. Last week I released Q4 mental health target data, which shows more Kiwis are getting faster access to mental health support. I've always said I won't be just happy with the national average. It's the ability to measure performance in the 20 health districts that will make a real difference. No matter where you live, this government is committed to ensuring when someone is reaching out for support, that timely support is there.
Supplementary. What progress has been made in achieving the fast access to primary mental health and addiction target?
Speaker, good news. This government is focused on delivering faster access to support, more frontline workers and a better crisis response. That's why this government set a target of 80% of people being seen in primary mental health services within 1 week. We are meeting that target with 83.8% being seen within 1 week. In the South Island, access to primary mental health support has improved from 75% in Q1 to 84.7% in Q4, well above the target. The Southern District went from being one of the worst performing districts at 66.4% to one of the best at 91% of Southern residents accessing services within 1 week.
Good, Mahi. Entry. What progress has been made in reducing wait times in emergency departments?
Mr Speaker, a crisis response is a key part of our mental health plan. Across the country, all regions have improved the number of people waiting less than 6 hours in ED to receive timely mental health support. This is a target we have seen the biggest improvements. The northern region, there's been an 11.3% improvement, which has been driven by an increase of 8.9% in Northland and an impressive 20.8% improvement in Auckland. When Kiwis, their loved ones, friends or family members make the brave step of reaching out for help, this government is committed to ensuring we have the right support in place.
Supplementary. What progress has been made in achieving the faster access to specialist mental health and addiction target?
Mr Speaker, our mental health plan is working. Nationally, we're achieving the specialist target of 80% of people receiving support within 3 weeks. It's pleasing to see areas like Taranaki and South Canterbury seeing 90% of residents within 3 weeks. However, there is still work to do to lift performance in some districts. That's why I meet regularly with Health New Zealand regional leaders to ensure plans are in place to lift areas of underperformance and ensure we're constantly improving access to mental health services. The data shows that we're turning the corner on reducing wait times. We're also increasing the frontline mental health workforce, which has grown by 10% since coming into office, with child and adolescent workforce growing by 19% and peer support lived experience by almost 100%.
Question number 12, Tamatha Paul.
Nā koe te māngai he pātai ki te minita take ture. Why are Māori disproportionately overrepresented in prison populations in Aotearoa?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Paul Goldsmith.
Mr Speaker, it is a sad reality that Māori are overrepresented in prison and nobody is happy with that fact. The consistent focus of the justice system over many decades has been to reduce that overrepresentation, and it has proved very difficult. As to why, there will naturally be a variety of opinions, but at one level, the makeup of the current prison population primarily reflects offending rates in New Zealand. As the recent long-term insights briefing on imprisonment in New Zealand outlined, quote, most people serving sentences in prison in New Zealand have been convicted of serious sexual or violent offending. New Zealand prisons are not full of people in prison for minor charges. It is also a fact, Mr Speaker, that Māori are disproportionately overrepresented as victims of crime in New Zealand, which is why this government is focused on restoring real consequences for crime and reducing the number of victims of crime. That is our primary focus in the justice sector, regardless of ethnicity.
He pātai tāpere. Does the Minister agree that it is important for corrections to accurately record the ethnicity of incarcerated people? And if so, why hasn't the government implemented Action 5.1 of the Irirangi strategy to, quote, accurately record ethnicity, descent and iwi affiliation consistent and in conjunction with Stats New Zealand standards and iwi?
Well, Mr Speaker, that is probably a question best directed to the Minister of Corrections, but I'm sure every effort is made to accurately record data.
Point of order, Mr Speaker. Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Yep.
Just that I wasn't able to get a good answer to my question because of
Sorry,
jurisdiction.
there's a
a lot of noise.
in the gallery, so I can't hear you. Speak clearly into your microphone.
Yeah. So for context, Mr. Speaker, my question is about the overrepresentation of Māori in prison populations. Originally it was directed to the Minister of Corrections but was redirected to the Minister of Justice. My supplementary question just now, asking about the Hōkairangi strategy, was not answered because it is within the delegation
I'll tell you what, ask your question again? Because if the government has decided that this is the minister who can answer it, we should expect an answer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I'll repeat my question. Does the Minister agree that it is important for corrections to accurately record the ethnicity of incarcerated people? And if so, why hasn't the government implemented Action 5.1 of the Hōkairangi strategy to, quote, accurately record ethnicity, descent and iwi affiliation data?
Well, into the first part of the question, yes.
Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Does the Minister think that defunding the police and letting offenders go without prosecution have any chance of helping innocent Maori victims?
No, I don't think that would be helpful to Māori victims of crime, and that certainly appears to be the Greens' policy.
Supplementary. Does the Minister know whether the methods currently used by the Department of Corrections for ethnicity data collection are giving an accurate view of who is in prison?
Well, I don't have that detail to hand, Mr. Speaker, but I certainly can confirm that corrections and the broader justice sector are very focused primarily on reducing the number of victims of crime, regardless of their ethnicity. Unlike the previous government, which had a focus on reducing the number of people in prison, irrespective of what was going on in the community. And so our focus is on reducing the number of victims of crime.
Supplementary. What evidence does he have that a higher prison population makes Māori safer?
Well, if you're wanting to reduce the number of victims of crime, a very good place to start is with that very, very small group of New Zealand society, or that small section of New Zealand society that creates multiple victims over and over again. And so the primary focus is effective rehabilitation of people who have been involved in violent crime. But there are some people that need to be kept out of society for a while so that the rest of society can be kept safe. And that is a pretty important part of our justice response.
Supplementary. Supplementary.
Supplementary, the Honourable Nicole McKee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is it this government's position that if someone does the crime, then they're going to do the time, regardless of their ethnicity?
Yes, indeed, that is our position, and it is not from a sole focus on the punitive side of justice, though that is important, but it is part of a broader focus of our justice sector response, which is to reduce the number of victims of crime. And the good news, Mr. Speaker, is that collectively in this country we're making great progress towards that target that the government has to reduce the overall number of victims of crime. When we came in at 185,000 New Zealanders suffering violent offences, we've reduced that down to 156,000 in the latest stats. That is still, Mr. Speaker, 156,000 too many New Zealanders, and we're determined to make further progress.
Supplementary.
Tamath Paul.
Was Moana Jackson wrong when he said, quote, the majority of those behind bars are Māori and the system itself reflects a punishing and very real racism, end quote? Or does he accept that the overrepresentation of Māori in prisons is a reflection of structural racism? All of them. I've been to all of them. Every single one of them.
Hold on. Righto.
Mr. Speaker, as regards to structural racism, I would say that that's a very easy phrase for an academic to use. But I would say to the thousands of New Zealanders, Māori, Pākehā, and from a wide variety of ethnicities who get up early every morning to work at corrections or the courts, or in many parts of the justice sector, the suggestion that they are just mere cogs in the wheel of a structurally racist regime is an insult to those people who work hard every day to do the right thing for this country and to keep New Zealanders safe. And I don't think that's an appropriate way to reflect on their efforts.
Supplementary question, the Right Honourable
Could the Minister tell us exactly how many Maori accused did Moana Jackson ever defend at court?
Mr. Speaker...
No, look. Well, it's not... It's something you could put in a written question. I doubt the Minister's got that at hand. The supplementary, Honourable Nicole McKee.
Thank you. Can the Minister also confirm that Māori are disproportionately represented among the victims of crime, and would it help to go soft on the perpetrators for reasons of political correctness?
Well, yes, I can confirm that Māori are overrepresented amongst the victims of crime, and that is why this government is absolutely focused in its justice policy on reducing the number of victims of crime. That's what it's all about. And we have made good progress towards that goal, but we are very conscious of the fact, Mr. Speaker, there is a lot of progress yet to be made because New Zealanders deserve to feel safe in their communities. They do feel safer than they did a couple of years ago, but we can do so much better as a country, and that's why we're focused on a strong, clear consequences for crime.
The time for oral questions has concluded. There is a maiden speech to follow that will give everyone who needs to go to other business 30 seconds to leave the House without discussion. In accordance with the determination of the Business Committee, I call on Oriini Kaipara to make her maiden address to Parliament.
Korihi, korihi, ko. Iti rea rea, te ite, kahika te a. Kataea, korihi, korihi, ko. Tātumu, kei hea rā koe kangarone. Kua hauangiangi ngā pae o ngā iwi katoa. Ko ngā kāhu e rua, no runga mai o takaparawhau, e rā, kua taka ki te pō. E aku rangatira, Clay, ko rua, ko Papa Grant Hawke, haere aku rangatira, haere. Moko whiti atu ki taupiri kūao, hine i pūāwai, e hine, haere, haere. Koutou e ngā mate o te wā, haere i te au kume, i te au roa, i te au te hoki mai anō, haere ngā mate, haere. Kei ngā pou o tōku whare wairua, hoki wairua mai, hoki wairua mai. Ki ngā pou o te aho matua, nēni tuki. Nāu te kōrero, kia mau ki te aka matua, te toi huarewa tipua. Whaia kā te rina te hei kōkō. Nāu te ringa i whakairo i te aho matua me ōna wāhanga e ono. Nāu i whakamaharaia mātou kia kimihia te mea ngaro. Ki te pou o tōku reo Māori, hori te pou. Grandad. Nāu taku reo, nāu i tūhoe ai tōku arero, nāu i tūhoe ai tōku ngā kau, i tūhoe ai ahau. Ki ōku pou o te ao haka. Koro ngā pō, kōrua ko kui pīmia. Nā kōrua ngā rangi me ngā kupu i tito, i manai anō te kōrero, ki te wātea te hinengaro me te kaharere o te wairua, ka taea ngā mea katoa. Kei ngā pou o tōku whare o ngā tūmanako. Whaia arapera, whaia hinerapa, Nanny June, Whaia Barbara, Ricky. Koutou aku titi raukura me aku iti raukura kua riro ki te pō. E mura mura tonu ana te ahi nā koutou I tautou I tō tātou pā. Anei, kua kawea mai e mātou ki konei ki tēnei whare I tēnei rā. A kāti ki ngā pautoko manawa o te Pāti Māori. Whaia tāri ana, ko rua tahi, ko taku tai moana. Mārei kura mārire, ngā kau māhaki. E kui tari, nā ua whānau ora, I ohia ake I te kore ki te ao mārama. Taku tai, I whāia e koe ngā mahi ararohenga. Kia whai poko hiwi pono ai ngā whānau o tō tāua rohe o Tāmaki Makaurau. Ko kōrua ka noho hei ihopu manawa kiau o tira kia mātou o te Pāti Māori e apa kura tonu nei. Nei ka mihi, nei ka tangi. Kia whakatipe hia ake I konei, he rārangi maunga tūtonu. He rārangi tāngata ngaronoa. Taua raitia te pō, tītoko ki te ao mārama, e ngā uru pā o rātau mā, tēnā koutou katoa. Whakakauake te kauai kahika o kiwa. Te ariki nui, kuini ngā wai hono I te pō, tū mai rā. Tū mai rā koe I runga I te ahurewa tapu o tō pāpā, o tō kuia, o tīpuna kua riro ki te pō. Tū mai rā koe hei ta pairu mo te reo Māori. A tēnā, kia whakatino rangatiratanga tia e au tō tāua reo, ki konei, ki Pāremata, ki te ao tō rangapu. Ko te kuini Māori hei whakamarumaru, ko te kīngitanga hei whakaruruhau mō te mana Māori motuhake, rire, hau, pai mārire. E te ariki hou o tūwhare toa te rangi māheu e tū. Kia whitiki nei hokoe te ihi o tō pāpā. Te mauri o te iwi, te hana o ngā waiariki. Nau mai rā koe te whatu o te whare o te heuheu. Rarau. Te āti awa, taranaki whānui, ngāti toa rangatira. E ngā reo whakahei no runga mai ngā maunga whakahi o te whanganui a tara, ta tuatu ki mua upoko ki ōtaki, tai atu ki rangi tāne ki te wairarapa. Tēnā rā koutou e ngā matamata huanga e ngā mana whenua o e nei whenua. Whakatau mai I taku iti I taku rahi. Whakatau mai a mātou ngā waiwai tapu. Whakatau mai I taku whānau, I taku hapori tēnei kua tau mai. Mihia a mātou mokopuna. Mihia ngā tamariki o te kōhanga reo me te kura kaupapa Māori. Mihia o rātau mātua, o rātau pākeke. Mihia ngā toa o te reo Māori, tai atu ki ngā pākaiahi me ngā mana tike o Tāmaki Makaurau. E hara, mihia te uru kahika o Tāmaki Makaurau tēnei kua pai mai nei. Mihia o kupapa, I konei, I ngā tau I mua, hei aha, hei kauaka, hei māngai mo ngā iwi Māori I mua. Mihia te matakirea o te rangapū tuatahi o te Pāti Māori, kua auraki mai. Anei a tā pāpa Peter Sharples, me ana apataki e tūtonu nei, te whare o Hoani Waititi Marae e tau nei, e mihi atu nei, tēnā koutou katoa. A kāti whakatau mai I a hau. I te Mema Pāremata hou, mo Tāmaki Makaurau. Kua hau, ko Oriini Kaipara. Ko te teina, a rāwinia, rāu ko te raina, ko te tuahine a hakaraia, ko te whakapākanga a Shirley te pou rāu ko Oriini Kaipara, ko Gary Gray, taku pāpā whakaangi. He mōkai a hau nā hōri rāu ko te auta te pou. He mokopuna hoki a hau nā wī kepa rāua ko kaira te Oriini Kaipara. Ko au te māma o Pae Tawhiti, o te ao mihia, o te Nikau, o ngā rongo kahira. Ko au hoki te kuikui o Puaroa. He uri a hau no hine Pūkōrero, no te kurai monoa, no wairaka, no hine te ariki, no hāhuru. Ko au te wawata o te o kahurangi, te tūmanako o rangi tōwhare, te kauae o parehuia. Ko au ko ngā tiawa, ko au ko tūwhare toa, ko tūhoe, ko ngā tirangi tihi, ko ngā pōtiki, ko te hapū one one. E te pika e te whare, e aku mema, hoa haere i tēnei whare, āputa i te motu whānui, koutou e ngā maunga whakahi o ngā tīpuna kai te pō. Anei ahau e mihi atu nei kia koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou. I am Oriini Kaipara, Member Parliament for Tāmaki Makaurau. Greetings, everyone. I'm not going to stand here and tell you about the impacts of colonisation on whānau, hapu, iwi, and even on me. That story is well documented. One only has to turn to the Hansard to see in plain black and white how this government and past governments have perceived our people. Instead, I will speak of resilience. The resilience of Māori, the resilience that has carried us through generations of struggle and survival. The resilience that has shaped me into the woman, the mother, the grandmother, and now the Member of Parliament who stands here before you today. Te reo Māori, tikanga, kura kaupapa, kapahaka, the arts, heck, even matariki. None of it survived by accident. Ehe, it all survived because we fought for it, Māori and non-Māori alike. We've been fighting for a very long time for te reo to survive and thrive. In 1970, ngā tamatoa and ngā kaiwhakapūmau i te reo lobbied for the introduction of te reo Māori into all schools. 2 years later, the Māori language petition, signed by over 30,000 New Zealanders, was carried to the very steps of this parliament. Ordinary people, extraordinary in their vision, stood up to say, the language of our tipuna and of this whenua will not die. In 1975, 3 historical events took place. Dame Whina Kupa and Te Rōpū Matekite, they led the biggest land march of its time from the top of the north to those very same steps. The Waitangi Tribunal was established, and I acknowledge the Tribunara who are here commemorating their 50th anniversary. The third was Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori. It also began that year. Here we are, 50 years later, celebrating, but with eyes wide open to the realities both institutions face right now. May I remind everyone in this house and out there that in 1975, just 5% of all Māori school children could speak and even understand their own mother tongue. 5%. Ruatoki stepped up first. They became the first bilingual school in the entire country in 1978. That was also the year of Takaparafo, Bastion Point. E kōrero mātou e wareware. A year later, iwi and hapu gathered near here to plan strategies for the survival of te reo. Te ātārangi was born. In 1980, Hoani Waititi Marae opened its doors for the very first time, becoming home to many West Aucklanders, including myself and my whānau. That same year, the Kohanga Reo movement was born in Ngārua Wāhia. In 1982, The first kohanga reo Puke Atua was opened in Wainuiomata. Later, former politician and Māori broadcaster Derek Fox, he delivered the very first televised news bulletin entirely in te reo Māori. Te Karere was born, and so was I, in 1983. Still young. These acts of resilience, they were critical to our existence and our success. Then, and still now, we created more than a movement, we built community. Community is what established the Kura Kaupapa Māori movement, which is here in this house right now. In 1985, the Kura Kaupapa Māori o Hoani Waititi Marae opened. A dream once whispered became reality. A place where tamariki could grow as who they were born to be, unapologetically Māori. A nei ngā titi raukura o Hoani Waititi Marae, a nei ngā raukura o te aho matua, ngā mokopuna rāwiri rai te rūnanga nui o ngā Kura Kaupapa Māori, kua tae mai, a nei te āpōpō, a nei te tirahu, kua tau. The fight for te reo didn't end there, Mr. Speaker. That same year, the Waitangi Tribunal heard the te reo Māori claim Y11. It confirmed what we always knew, that te reo Māori is a taonga guaranteed protection under te tiriti o Waitangi. This led to the establishment of Te Taurāwhiri Te Reo Māori, the Māori Language Commission. What followed next was Te Māngai Pāho, Whakaata Māori, and many other Māori language revitalisation efforts that still stand today. Tēnei te reo Māori, te toitū tonu nei. I honour our Pākeke who did not speak Māori. All of you who know and who carry the ache of disconnection and ensured that my peers and I would never feel it. Just as they stood for me, so I now stand for our tamariki and our mokopuna. Thank you for the sacrifices you made. Thank you for the ridicule you faced and for the courage that you showed in your commitment to a better life for us. When I stand in this house, I do so not as a survivor of colonisation who made it in the Pākehā system, but as the product of Māori resilience. We are the culmination of dreams, of purpose, of hard work and intention. We are here by design. Every single one of us who walks our own real journey is a beneficiary of the efforts of all those who held and still hold the line for all of us today. We embody everything they stood for, all that they dreamed of, and all that they hoped for. I've broken barriers, but now I choose to break cycles. I've covered stories, and now I choose to change them. I've competed at the Olympics of haka. I've taken haka to the Olympics. I've introduced te reo Māori into every space I've walked in, and I have no intention of stopping now. Some say te reo is another act of resistance. For many of us, it is our way of life. It just is. The Aotearoa hou I aspire to is free from racism, from discrimination, from trauma, and from unnecessary suffering. The Aotearoa hou I see is vibing, it's thriving, growing and going forward, not backwards. Kia whakatō muri te haere whakamua. I walk backwards into the future with my eyes fixed firmly on our past. E te pika I entered this whare in my hand holding te aho matua, the values and principles coined by the people who mentored and who shaped who I am today. They're in this house, many of them are not. I also enter on behalf of Takutai Tash Kemp. My predecessor, my tuakana, and I hold firmly in her honour and that of her whānau all that she carried, all that she meant, not only for Tāmaki Makaurau, but all her people who continue today to grieve for her loss. I stand here proudly for Tāmaki Makaurau. To my own whānau, aunties, my uncles, my cousins, my nephews, my nieces, everyone, I hear you. Kei te pai. Thank you for being here with me. I know how unnatural this is for all of us, but trust, we've got this. I've got you, and you've got me. I wonder what my mum would say if she were here right now. I know she'd be beaming and saying something like, "Go, my baby." She's here, I know, and I really do hope to do her proud, and all of our whakapapa proud. To my hāpaiō, my pillars of support, kaore ia rikarika aku mihi kia koutou. Jen, Faye, Ray, Mahanga Ngira, tōna, Rahira, Cows, Maria Pare, Parekura, Pāparangi, ao te kei o te waka whānau, tai atu kia koutou kere mama in the US of A right now. Thank you for having backs, guys, and for joining me on this journey. We made it. You did this. E kore te puna o mihi e mimiti. To the other members of this whare know this. We will debate, we will challenge each other, we will disagree. And I will wrap it up, everybody. I will wrap it up, everybody. I started, and now I end with my coho. I end my coho with a poll of the bellbird to remind us, especially now during spring, that even the smallest of us can achieve greatness. Just like the bellbird dared to ascend the tallest kahikatea, we can and we will. Korihi, korihi, ko, iti rea rea, te te, kahikatea, kataea, korihi, korihi, ko.
No, not that. The guarantee was that would not be taking place. is suspended.